I gotta start with this first. Ordo, you're a straight-up disgrace as a general. Oh my god. I mean, I know Riboku messed you up, took out 2 of your cities and all that, but are you fucking serious? You kind of had the upper hand, the surprise attack, and all of this, and you fuck it up that bad. Like, are you fucking serious? Ordo, you know what? You're such a disgrace. I'm not even gonna fucking talk about you, because that's just how irrelevant you are. I cannot believe that man fucked up that bad. But Sheba, I gotta commend Sheba, though. Sheba, good shit. Dude, being able to, you know, hold off with that little a min and all that, good shit. It's possible, just like, you have to be a very good leader, have a good army to be able to hold off against overwhelming numbers. Just well done, Sheba, for, you know, being able to hold off Ordo, even though Ordo is pretty damn disgraceful. I mean, that man, oh my god, like, I cannot believe how much he fucked up. That is just, it's horrible. Anyways, though, let's just talk about the real meat of this chapter, because I don't even want to talk about Ordo, because that shit, that kind of triggers me a bit, just to see how bad he was. So, the big meat of this chapter is that we kind of found out what Ousen is trying to do, what his overall objective is. Now, it's not a clear picture yet, but the frame is coming into place now. We kind of see a quick glimpse of what he's probably trying to do, and it's kind of what I said before, but a little bit different. So, right now, Ousen, he is attacking the individual villages. He's attacking these little towns, these small forts that are very tiny compared to Gyo, or the capital city. It's very tiny. However, in these individual cities surrounding Gyo and all that, these cities still have a lot of people inside them. That's not even counting the soldiers. And so because of this, with him taking these cities, he's able to gain some supplies, which that's what we assumed he was going to do. He was going to conquer these cities, gain their supplies, continue on marching forward. That's the general tactic of what you should do in war. Just, you know, restock and refuel and all that, and continue marching forward. And that's what they are doing. However, Ousen is doing something completely different from what you would normally see. And it shows you what type of general he is, but also how he's looking past what's going on right now and thinking of the future. He's actually thinking about what's going to happen once the war is over and they do eventually win. Because let's look at it like this. Ousen freeing the villagers, letting them go off and do whatever, even though he left them with no food or anything, he still spared them. He didn't slit their throat and kill them. He spared them. And that is a blessing, because normally in war, you have it to where people come in when they invade a fortress, city, whatever, they will, you know, kill all the guys, and then, you know, rape the women, and then probably sell them off or whatever into slavery or whatever. That's stuff that does happen, and that's not the case with this. You had it to where Ousen, he actually said, you will not kill any innocent civilian in this village. You may take their belongings, you may take, you know, the food, weapons, whatever, but you cannot bring them to any harm. And so that was how Kanki's army was able to be kept in check. But the big point here is that with Ousen doing this, it sets up for the future after the war is done, to where the integration to become a part of Quinn will be a lot smoother. Because you gotta look at it like this. When you conquer territory, you conquer land, like you take people's homes or their entire system away from them, obviously there's going to be many that are not going to like that. They're going to do an uprising and probably try to overthrow you or take back the city or whatever. Even if you've already taken all the land, they will probably try to rise up against you. And with Ousen actually doing this, it's like he's setting up a good relationship with the civilians. Like, hey, even though you're on the enemy side and all that, you're not necessarily our civilians right now, we are still good people. We're not going to bring you guys to harm. So when everything is said and done, if they do win this war against Zhao, you'll have it to where they will be more accepting of the, you know, Quinn army being amongst them. So that's kind of what Ousen is doing here. He's actually setting up for the future. But let's think about what he's doing also for in the middle of the war and why he's letting them free in the first place. So let's factor all of this in, okay? There's a lot more to warfare than just battling and beating the shit out of each other and just having complete carnage. There's a lot more to war than that. And there's a lot more to war than just defending or attacking in terms of what we've seen so far from Kingdom. What Ousen is doing right now is completely different from what we have normally seen from this series. He's not waging war the typical way. He's waging war with supplies. Think about it like this, okay? Ousen is sending out his army to attack individual cities, taking all the supplies and then telling the civilians to pack up and leave. He has to throw them out of the city because he just can't leave them there, but he's not killing them. He's letting them go, and that's a blessing. And so, obviously, because of these, civilians, some of them being very old and all that, not having much food, most likely they're going to travel to the closest city, which most likely is Gyo, or the neighboring city, which is another city that's about to be attacked. Or if they're not going there, they'll go to the capital city. Regardless, these villagers are probably going to go to a very well-defended city, or if they go to the city next door, they're going to just have to get up and leave again because Ousen's going there to pillage it. So it's going to be a cycle, and all of these civilians are going to be put on the road, and they're going to be flooding into either the capital city or Gyo. And let's just say they all go into Gyo, okay? Let's just put this on the table. Let's say Ousen managed to capture every single, town around Gyo. All these civilians will be obviously going towards that town. And what happens when you try to fit 1,000 people in a boat that can only fit 100? Obviously, that boat is going to fucking sink. Now, let's put this also another perspective. What happens when you have enough food to feed maybe 5 people, but you have 100 people there at the dinner table? Obviously, some are going to go hungry and starve, and that is the case what we have going on right now. With Ousen making all the civilians evacuate, go to Gyo or the capital city, there's going to be an overpopulation problem. And if Ousen attacks this village, fortress, castle, whatever that has all the civilians inside of it, and they lack the food, the resources to contain all these people, obviously the entire fortress is going to fall. Think of it like this, okay? Gyo is the perfect city. Ousen even said himself that it is the perfect city. It will not fall to an attack by Quinn. However, he never said it was impossible to fall from within. Think about it like this, okay? All these civilians going inside of Gyo, Ousen lays siege to Gyo, okay? This town that could only hold maybe 50,000 people has about 300,000 people inside of it. Food is going to run out quickly, and we got to factor in the fact if Ousen is attacking the town, soldiers are going to be eating a hell of a lot more. Supplies are going to be running out a lot faster. It's just going to be eating at them supplies. And that's not factoring in all the hungry people, the civilians that were traveling just to get to that city, eating up those resources. So there's going to be a point to where there's not going to be any supplies in Gyo, or the capital city. And you're going to have it to where there's going to be people going hungry. They're starving. Either the soldiers are going to have to go without, or the civilians are going to have to go without. And obviously, they're probably going to focus on the soldiers because they're the ones that are fighting on the walls. And so the civilians, they're going to start starving. You're going to have the old people starving, the children starving. Obviously, people are going to die. And that is the thing. That's what Ousen kind of wants. Even though it's fucked up, that's what he wants. Because when that happens, when people start to starve because the actual, big leaders in that town force the civilians not to eat, the civilians are going to revolt. They're going to attack back or rebel against the entirety of the soldiers inside of the fortress, which that's not going to be good, because that would mean automatically the city will be having to deal with the problem outside the walls, which is Ousen's entire army, and they're going to have to be dealing with inside the walls with the uprising and the rebellion going on because the civilians don't want to fucking starve. Most likely, they know how, Ousen is. He won't put them to any harm. He'll allow them to go free, and most likely, they will easily just open up the fucking gate and say, here you go, come and walk inside. We don't want to die. We just want some food to eat. I can see the civilians doing that. Being the whole cause why Gyo falls in the first place, they open up the gate, and then they just walk on in, and then, Ousen's able to take it, and he's like, you know what, since you guys were so good, you guys get some food, you keep it for yourself, you get to eat it. I could see him doing that and setting up good relationships with them to where then he has the people on his side. Now, let's also put this into another perspective as well. Let's say it isn't Gyo, okay, that gets the people inside of it. It could also go to the capital city, and let's factor this in as well. The capital city has the king. The king is a scumbag. I've already said that he's probably going to be the reason why Zhao is going to lose this in the first place, because of the way the king is, and how he is very selfish, and he thinks about himself only. If the civilians go to the capital city, and siege happens to the capital city before Yo, obviously, civilians are going to start starving, because the king, he doesn't give a fucking shit about the civilians. He doesn't care. He'll allow them to starve. Civilians will get very pissed off. They'll see that their king is a piece of shit, and they do want to, you know, actually have Quinn rule over them. They want Zhao to lose, and then they'll open up the gate, and then they'll have it to where, you know, Quinn will be able to take over the capital city. That is a possibility as well, just because of how the king is. So regardless right now, Ousen is not doing your typical war. He's setting up for a war with supplies, because that's what's going on with Quinn right now. They're running out of supplies. They have a very limited amount of supplies, and if they don't get more supplies, they're going to starve to death and die, way before they die in battle. They'll just starve to death, and that's kind of what's going on here. Both sides are having a battle with supplies, who could hold out longer and survive before one drops, and that is the in-game goal of this arc. So, well done, Ousen. You're a very solid commander. Impressed me with your tactics and what you did in this chapter. I love it. I fucking love it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.